Hello and welcome to your mat or your bolster or your cushion or wherever you like to find stillness for meditation. Today I'll guide you through some stillness. My name's Tessa if we haven't met yet, and I encourage you first and foremost to find a place of comfort. Now, you might think that meditation has to be done sitting with a straight spine, yada yada yada. That can be a barrier to a lot of people. That can be too much, effort or energy for what somebody's got in their body. So I say you can lay down. You can be supported by props. Don't let your position be what prevents you from being still. So today I'll offer a seat, but if that looks like a lay down in your house, you go there. That's great. I would say find a pillow or a bolster or a prop or something like a rock that gets the hips up a bit higher than the knees. That's going to allow you to find a little bit more comfort in the shape. And once you've reached your point of position, start to get cozy. Maybe that's a shimmy out of the arms, rolling out the wrists. Let the neck sway side to side. Get out any wiggles you need before you find that center point. And once you're there, it's a deep breath. So start by emptying out the lungs. Ribs knit in all the way. Expel all that air. Then deep breath in. Sip one more at the top. Slight pause, open mouth exhale. Clasp ribs down, empty out. Hang in the bottom, and then in breath. Round out the top into your exhale. An invitation to close down the eyelids. You can use that shift of gaze from external environment to internal as a signal, as a ritual, as a hello, self. How you going today? Little scan of the inner landscape of body. What's it feel like to be sitting in your skin today? Not assigning anything positive or negative to that. It's a simple noticing. And notice how today very likely feels different from yesterday and will feel different from tomorrow as well. Let your breath be smooth. And if you need a point of focus, you're welcome to bring in Ujjayi breath, a slight constriction in the back of throat, so that your breath sounds a bit oceanic. Hopefully you can hear the waves in the background here too. Maybe a different point of focus could be a mala bead. You can hold it in your hand, and now one bead doesn't have to be one breath. One bead doesn't need to mean anything in particular. It's a tool to keep your hands busy while your mind tries to find a point of stillness. And you might be sat here thinking, ugh, meditation's not for me. My mind, it just runs away all the time. Well, that means that you have a good mind. That means that your mind is doing its job, right? Its job is to think. But similar to our phones, they don't get a rest unless we turn them off. So this is a practice in resting the mind, in letting the brain know it's allowed to have breaks too. And it might even benefit from that. I think it's really easy to get caught in the modern world and always be looking forward to what's next, what's on the horizon, what's going on, what can I plan, how can I do better, do more. And if we ever pause to take a look around nature, we would find that that's not the case, right? Nature is not always flipped on, switched on, reaching, growing, blah, 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 blah. No. It takes seasons of rest. There are parts that don't quite look aesthetic, right? Parts of outside of nature, of seasons we consider, quote, ugly or undesirable. Does nature care? No. Just keeps going. So big reminder that you, at the end of the day, you're nature, right? You're a natural being. You're made of all the same stuff that makes up the trees and the rocks and the ocean and the fish. So if ever you get too tussled up in your own world, hook back, remember that. You're just floating on a rock at the end of the day. Shoulders gently roll back. Let collarbones draw apart. And line of energy drips off the end of shoulder tips. There's a point between effort and ease in this sit. So a slight engagement into the core, just enough to hold you tall, with enough softness so your inhales can let belly inflate full like a balloon. Bring the air up into ribs, all the way up into collarbones. And then you deflate. Smooth, even. Become familiar with the way that breath travels through your body. Become familiar with the places you tend to hold tension. This might be the point between the brows, maybe the corners, maybe the wrinkle of your nose, the sides of your lips, the space below your chin, the muscles that support your neck and your head. Let it be loose. And when that mind keeps thinking like it does, it's not an angry, ugh, stop thinking. It's a loving, hey man, we're having quiet time. You can think so much so soon. Just hang on. And Mark Nepo tells us that as much as we'd like, we can't be happy all the time, any more than we can dilate or inhale all the time. We need to dilate and constrict, inhale and exhale in order to live. And so, the heart, mind, and soul need to open and close to the entirety of the human experience in order to make sense of things they move through. Difficult as they are, pain, loss, obstacles, they're dynamic forces of life that make us open and close. It's up to us to make sense of our lifelong conversation with them. So it's a noticing. How does your relationship with the ebb and flow truly look like? Have you figured out how to smoothly transition from states of happiness and elatement through the boring and the sad too? Or do you find yourself increasingly frustrated when things aren't, quote, going your way? No judgment, just a noticing. And I'll leave us here for several rounds of breath in silence, in space to let the breath be soft, and let the body be a sponge to that. Bring some awareness back to your breath. Some force and vitality back into your prana. Really intentional and full inhales. Puff out those lungs, that chest. And let it fall in your exhales. Bring the hands together and rub them, create friction. Keep eyes closed tight here. We're creating warm fingertips for our transition back into the space around. Once you've got some heat built up in your fingers, keep them closed tight as you press on top of your eyelids. With fingers still tightly clasped, you can crack the eyelids. Notice what the light looks like as it's coming through the spaces in your fingers. And slowly, in your own time, let your hands draw away from your face. And bring you back to this space. Hands heart. Thumbs to third eye. Draw down the face, pause at the lips. Draw down the chin to stop at the heart. And thank you for sharing your meditation practice with me. I hope that off the mat you're able to carry with you a sense of space in your mind, a pause before your words, and a wholeness in your heart. Thank you.